Hi everybody, I'm just making up the template so I can cut the cloth without messing that up. Your circle cutter, compass cutter, should be set there, mainly because you want it to be a tight fit over there for the cloth, because the cloth will stretch a little bit. And this is my template that I'm making up for the actual front of the gun mantlet, so that it all fits together. It's a work in progress, but I'd rather cut it in paper and get the right shapes, and then I've always got these templates that I can make on any other Centurion, because hopefully the gun mantlet's all the same size. So let me crack on with this and I'll show you I made up the side pieces too. Oh yes, it has to have side pieces. You can't just wrap it round. It doesn't work like that. In fact, the one at Tank Museum has even got a zip underneath. I'm not that nuts. All right. So I've just taped it loosely to the turret so we can see the kind of shape we're going to need to cut the side pieces. So I'm going to make another template that will fit to there with that shape loosely around where it is, because I'm sure they would have used cutting patterns for when they actually made this. It wasn't like all made. And I know this looks a bit silly, but that just shows me where the machine gun port is. The barrel on this as well is off center. It's not directly in the mantlet, in the center of the mantlet. It might be directly in the center of the turret, but it's offset on the mantlet. All right, so let me crack on with those side pieces. And yeah. Hi, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut out the coaxial machine gun port, because it does have a definitive little piece of fabric that is the shape of that port. There's not many of them where it is just the metal and then clamped down around the port. It's the whole thing. So this is the thing that's a bit tricky I've been working on, but I've got a few plans for it. So let me just cut that down and I'll show you what I mean. Oh, and use a really sharp scalpel to do it. And as you can see, this is too big anyway, the paper for it, but that doesn't matter because I'm going to make it too big. I'll use double-sided tape to stick it down to the mantlet just so I can cut it to shape. And I'm going to stick it down with double-sided tape, cut it all round to the right size. Then I'm going to make up the clamping piece. You know, the bit of... It's actually on one of them I've seen. It's in Tank Museum. It's leather. But I'm thinking maybe that's not common. Normally it's like really thin sheet metal. It looks like on other ones. Anyway, let me just do this and I'll show you. Right, so as you can see, I've cut that out. And you're thinking, well, why have you left it like that? I need to make... If you look at any pictures of this, the cloth comes in a definitive little own stitch section which goes over this. Okay, so if I leave this here, when I use glue to stick the other bit of cloth on, I can use this as anchor points for the other cloth to go. All right, if that makes sense. And what I'm going to do now is do the templates for the side shape, because now I've got it onto the mantlet here. All right, so I can cut this. It will have the shape here and cut it large so that it goes around this section, which is a separate part. I'll quickly show you here, around here. I'm not sure if you guys find this useful. Whenever I do any technical stuff on tanks, no one really ever watches it. But what people tend to watch is those stupid videos I do for how to start a tank. So I don't know. If you find this useful, give it a thumbs up and say so, because otherwise it's depressing. Anyway, look, let me do that and let's get the rest of this template sorted. Hi everybody. So I've just made this shape template for here. All right. You don't want it completely precise, but you do want this outline so you can cut it off the fabric. I know it looks a bit weird, but if you notice, let's see if my attempts. If you place it up against the tank and you've got strong light behind, I don't know if you can see that, but you can see the outline of where you need to draw, and do it oversized, because it's got to come onto here and come onto here for this shape there. All right, so you're like stretching it across here, so you need quite a bit of stuff to cover that gap. And then when you've got the right shape and everything, then you can cut it to the shape of where you're going to attach it with the attachment strip. All right. So yeah, and then I use something, you might not have these, called a French curve to help make that a better shape. So with a French curve, you get the shape you need, and then you turn the curve to continue that shape. And in theory, with a French curve, at some point you get a circle, if I remember rightly from my DT teacher, but you might not have this. So just do your best with following that shape as nice as you can. Now I'm going to cut this out and copy it both sides. And then the only bit we've got to do is the little section that goes over here. Okay, we'll work it out. And then I'm going to use this under part as something to stick the bit on I'm going to make up. And I'm going to use super glue to put all this together. Cloth glue doesn't grab quick enough. So a little bit of super glue on the edges. Oh, and also with this curve, when you cut it out proud, because you're going to need a lip to feed under here so you can stick it together. Okay, so let's just do all that. Hi everybody, I'm now just making the template up for this bit. Sorry, this is on my lap, but so basically I've just, oh, where is it now? Place this on here, and then I have then folded the paper to get the right shape for the triangle bit that I need to do. Then what I'm going to do is cut the folds, and that'll give you the right shape. And I'll quickly show you I'll do it with a pair of scissors. Okay. Right, so as you can see, I've now cut it out like that. That will give me the right shapes to cut out on the umbrella cloth. It doesn't have to be exact, but it's just a general idea. So then when it goes on here, it's a bit hard to do one-handed. Don't you see? It does that. So I'm going to take it downstairs now and then scan that into my computer with this one, and this shape when I've cut it out. And then I've got all the templates for the cloth. Okay, and then we'll start using the cloth. Right, so I've scanned this into my computer and I've got multitudes of prints of these templates if I cock it up. And it's there forever now, so if I do another Centurion, no matter who makes it, I will have the template for a canvas gun cover. So yeah, this is oversized, but this is all down to being able to trim it. All right, so they're oversized, but it's better to be oversized than too small. And then when this is on, and I've got it all right, as I say, I'm going to put some double-sided tape so I can stick it down to exactly where I want it. Then I will cut it once I've placed the actual clamping strip on. Yeah, and this is all umbrella fabric. So look, let's get on with cutting it out into the fabric and then fitting it to the tank. Oh, and in case you're wondering I've gone mad, the outer line for the template is so you can fold this over in the cloth, have somewhere to stick it to. You slowly work your way around. It's a bit hard to see, but so you can bend over and then stick it on like that. Yeah, and this will be out the cloth, but it's what the shapes will fill. I hope you can see that. It'll make more sense when we put it together. Okay, all right. Okay, everybody, what I've just done now is junky old bit of plastic card and mix stuff up on. I've just cut the circle out, which is here. So what I do to cut the circle out on the cloth to keep it straight, I stick that onto the cloth and then cut round the circle, which is the same circumference circle as this, because as I said in the beginning of the video, lock your circle cutter off at the diameter that you need it for, because it's a real git to try and find it again. So now I've used this to do that. I'll now stick this on the cloth and then cut a hole through it, or even I might stick it to the cloth, put this over the top, cut this side out, then cut the circle out. Okay, and I might even make up a square of plastic card to stick down there, but I might not do it actually. Anyway, right, let's move on to the next bit, and that's cutting the cloth. Right, everybody, I've cut out a square of fabric from the umbrella, tote umbrella. The good thing is, it doesn't fray at all. No fraying at all. It's really good for this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin this to the fabric. But what I'm also going to do is, before I do that, I need to cut a hole through it. But I'm not going to cut the hole yet. I'm going to super glue the little disc that I've cut out onto the fabric, because it doesn't matter, because the fabric it's stuck to will be underneath it. And then you can keep this for a template for all of them. Okay, it's slightly undersized. I will stick it there, and then I will pin my template down. Come back. I'll pin my template down around it, and then cut this template out. I know it's exactly the right place. You can't stick this on because you're going to need the fabric underneath. Okay, and then that should work fine. I'm going to actually square out these edges so it'll be less cutting if I can do it so it's in a corner and at the side. Then I've only got to cut this, and then it leaves more fabric for me to do this one and this one here. We don't need two templates because you just put it the other way. Okay, so we're going to cut that out, and then we're going to start sticking this together with super glue. Super glue works because this is waterproof, so it doesn't go through. And then this will, because of the edges, as you said in the other bit of the video, will take up the shape as the side parts, because it needs side parts. You can't just form it over it. It's not how it was made. And then this bit might be a bit interesting, but this is the bit that goes over the machine gun cover. All right. Look, let's crack on with this, and we'll get going. And I forgot to say, iron it after you've cut it. So give it a good iron so it gets out all the creases from being stuck underneath the cupboard. You'll put creases in later, but you don't want other ones you don't need. Okay. The other thing I was going to say was have a really sharp scalpel blade. Brand new fresh one, or get some proper fabric scissors. And this is how you can use a cutting. I know it sounds stupid, but it's how you use a cutting mat. So I'm trying to get a right angle. I've made sure that this side is now lined up here. That's what the squares are for. So what you have to do is make sure that this ruler is in the same distance from that square as that square. All right. So 3, 3. This isn't the sharpest blade. I should have swapped it over. Hold it down tight, and then a light pass. And then hopefully that's cut cleanly. You see? Now I know that side should be a right angle. I can put this on, and it just saves some time and fabric. Okay, and it's nice and straight then. I don't need to do it for this side, I just need one side for that part. If you want to, you could do both sides. And if you can see, look, I wonder what I could use these bits of fabric for. So tie downs and anything, yeah? You can cut straight lines and little bits for it. So tie downs. Also, I've got to put strips up here, which I can use this for. But I won't use, I'd cut some specific for it. We'll keep that just in case. Right, let's crack on. Right, so I've got it in the corners. I might not be able to do this on camera because I need to lean over it and just make sure that all these corners are down before I super glue this on into the center. Okay, so I might have to do this off camera and then show you the results, all right? But this is the general idea. You want to keep it there. Right, I'm now going to stick a little circle on where I need it. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. It doesn't need to be a lot because this is what I need to cut out in a minute. Let me just make sure this is on the cloth in the right place. And this is oversized anyway, this template. Let's get that circle. Let's make the glue on me. So let that dry. And the glue shouldn't go through, so this is waterproof fabric for Probably said that now and it'll go straight through. So now if you can see, that is now stuck on, and see the glue doesn't go through. It's waterproof. Normal I'll just rock it. Now I can use that to put this template back on in the right place. And then I'm going to actually, I'm not going to use a pencil. I'm going to just hold this down with a ruler and cut it. But it's really hard to do on camera. Right, there we go. And now I'm just going to cut it. I should have changed my scalpel knife. I forgot. Okay. And then we're just going to turn it so we get the other side. I'll just do that off camera. Right, so let's just cut that through a little bit, but we have this template. And like I say, this will now be a template for all of them. I've got to cut this bit out as well. So we do that once we've cut this away. So now we've got this. That's the gun hole. All right. This way you need a really, really sharp blade. If you're not careful, you can get the odd fluffy bit. But normally it's quite good. So now we just got to overlay this and cut this one out. All right. And again, I might do this off camera, and I'm going to change my blade so we get this shape here and it be in the right place. Okay, but you see how it works. Let's just use this template. If you put a little circle there, and these are oversized as it is, this is not the exact correct size, then you've got some to play with and it should be good. All right. So I've just changed my scalpel for something a lot sharper, and I'm going to cut this box out here, okay? And I'll show you the finished result. I'm not going to do it on camera because it's really hard to do and I don't want to mess this up. But like I say, you just got to cut it out, and this is your jig to hold the cloth in place. So that'll be fine. There we go. It's a little wonky, but it doesn't matter too much. And now we just got to cut out the circle on the plastic card. The reason why I've done this is I can cut around the plastic card circle, and then we're left with a nice little hole. Okay, and then we'll test fit it to the tank. The reason why I've done this is because this bit will go on here like that, and I might make this up and then put it, I don't know, we'll see. All right, yeah, and like I say, you would then with this very sharp knife cut around the plastic card circle. So like using it as a former. I'm sure YouTubers must have some sort of head cam or something, because this is really hard to do on camera. Because I'm looking at it sideways. I'm hoping this doesn't go hideously wrong, because we'll have to do it all again. See? No fraying at all. Okay. And now yep, so it's a little circle. Could have been doing a little teeny bit smaller actually. I wouldn't have minded this being a little bit tighter, but so I mean it's oversized. It just needs to be there and there. Okay? But that's what the template's for. And then I'm going to, the tricky bit is going to be cutting this one out and then cutting it nice to shape, because that has to go on there like that, but in cloth. But it should be all right. We'll work something out, won't we? So now what I've got to do now is just exactly the same process. I've just got to cut these up and then we'll start gluing. I've got to think about, and I don't mean gluing to the tank. I'm not gluing this to the tank. I don't want to glue to the tank because I want to get it off if I need to do repairs on anything. Yeah? But then we can start adding texture and stuff as well once we put it all together. That's why I end it. Right, let's crack on with that. I might cut these off outside of off camera. So I'm just going to literally, we've got enough cloth. Hopefully that's a straight edge. Doesn't matter because it's oversized. Then I'm just going to cut that round and then cut another one round here. Then we should still have some cloth here to do the other bits and bobs. Okay. Right, so I think I'll do it off camera and I'll show you the parts together. Right, I've cut one out. So That's under here, and now what I'm doing is just cutting through where I did the score lines to get it to fit as the paper templates on the outside shape. This doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to use cloth, and these were sewn, and there was one of them that I saw at Tank Museum that has see, then we're going to bend these bits over, and these are the bits that stick inside. So it's going to take a bit of doing, but we'll get there. I promise we'll get there. Because it worked on the paper template, so it should work on the cloth template. Just got to cut out another one and do the reverse of this on this bit, and then we'll start trying to put it together. This could go horribly wrong. So we should now have two, and we can trim them up a bit, edge pieces that look exactly the same. Okay, I just got to cut out the flaps on this one. See what I've done here. And then, like I say, we'll start trying to put it together onto that. I wonder if I should do it on the tank, but I don't accidentally stick it. Let me have a think. So at the end of it, this is what you should have. Two mirror images and that. Now, I've got to stick this to the edges of this with super glue. Wish me luck, fellas. Right, I come up with a plan. I love templates. So what I would do is, if you stick it, it's hard to do one hand, stick that first middle section there, and then curve it around that. So I'm doing. So that should do it. Okay, so stick the cloth there first, and then work outwards, both sides, and that should do it. I'm going to try that and then show you if it's worked. But that's the general principle of it. If I film myself doing that, it will take forever, and there could be lots of swearing. Anyway, let's try it. Right, so I think we have to use the gun shield as a former, but this should work. Oh, it's like needlework. Right, I don't think that's too shabby. I'll shape it a bit, and I think you need to, on this one, I might do another, oh no, I might not do another one, but you need to, I'm going to crease this up a bit as well, and I'm going to glue a bit more around here. If I can pull this bit. But I think the best thing to do is, one, shape this on the gun mantlet, put a little teeny bit. I glued this too much here, so it couldn't bend as much as it should. So I'm just going to do the other side now, and I'm going to shape it again on the mantlet. So I think that makes much more sense. Okay, I'd love to show you that, but so basically I'm going to stick that with just one little blob there. I mean, literally just a little teeny blob to tack it in place on one flap, and then tack it round. And when we take it off, we can tack it round the back more with super glue. And so you see, the super glue doesn't come through. It's quite good. And I can seal this edge, and I'm going to paint this anyway, so it's not going to be finished in black like this. This takes paint because it's waterproof. I do like this. It's good. I've had an idea, actually. What I might do, yes, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a little blob of glue and then stick that onto that one. Do you see what I'm trying to do? I can't do it with one hand. I'm going to stick like that. Then I'm going to feed the rest round, and that should work, and it won't get that crease. Okay, let's do that. Right. I think that's, I've just got to tack these more here, and tack that there with some super glue, and there. But that's the effect, isn't it? And then, yeah, there we go. I think that should work, because you've got the two side pieces. Then there's a strip that goes along the bottom here. You've got the strips at the top, and then the part that goes over the machine gun. We'll get that done. Let's tidy this up first. So I'll just quickly show you how simple it is to use super glue on this. So I want that to be a bit down. Like I say, I'm painting it, so it doesn't need to be clean. You see, I can just fold it down and glue it, and it just looks like a seam. My daughter coming back. You see? I'll do that bit as well. So glue that down. And then it should all be good. Right, everybody, that's it loosely fitted. So now I have to do this. But I've come up, I thought, oh, this is a bit, it's not tight enough. It's not what I wanted. But if you look on pictures, there's actually a bit that comes out here. So I've got another little circle, which is way smaller. I'm going to cut a square, and I'm just going to stick it onto the back here and make it come out like that. To make it look a bit tighter, look a bit better. So let's do that now. So I'm just going to, sorry, I'm going to stop filming in a minute because the sun's coming in my window. I don't have any blinds. Can you see all the great big bright lights? So yeah, so I'm going to stick that on there, cut that through, make a little square, feed it around the back, and then Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your brother. Working up me. Right, so I've stuck the circle I need for the barrel onto this piece of cloth, and I'm going to cut this round like it showed you for the previous piece of cloth. And then I'm going to stick it through the hole, super glue it on the back, and that should like the sticky out bit on the canvas gun card. Right, well, so this is between my legs, if you know what I mean. That is the best I think I'm going to get with that. And I think it looks quite like it. I'm now just going to stick it in situ from the outside, then take it off, and then stick it in the back. Okay, but I don't need, I shouldn't say. But I don't need, I don't want to make this too stiff because this is going to go in and out with the gun recoil, isn't it? Right, but it's a lot of fiddling with tweezers to get it through without it coming through. I made the cloth a bit too short there. When you make this part, make it quite big, and then you haven't got to worry about it coming through the hole. Right, and this is the gap on the circle cutter. It starts getting a bit tricky here. I've seen some circle cutters on AliExpress I might like to try and have a go at, where it's not like this compass type, it's like a metal circle, because it cuts circles. Yeah, so it's that size anyway. And that's with the extra bit inserted, and if you can see, it covers up the gun barrel joint, so it doesn't look like it's got one. It takes a little bit of fiddling with some tweezers, but I think that looks all right, and it looks kind of square. So I'm happy with that. I'll probably do all this and work out that when you fire it, it won't recoil. It should do. It's still soft. It's still soft. All right, so it should be fine. Now I've just got to make this bit, which is this template mold, which goes on here. This is way oversized, but I did that so that I got enough meat on there. I just got to work out how to do that. I think I'll stick that on from the front because that's what it looks like in the actual tank. All right. Right, so what I've done here is I've used this template, put it on here, and I've just traced it with a dressmaker's pencil. For this shape, there's no way of holding this properly on here and cutting it without it going a bit funny. But if you do it that way, you can just cut where the dressmaker's pencil marks are. All right, but again, make sure you have a sharp, one sharp pencil and sharp scalpel when you cut this out. So let's cut this shape out now. So there we go. And this doesn't have to be perfect. This is a very sharp scalpel. It's a new one. I won't do all this because I don't want to bore you to death. See, it just doesn't fray. It's really cool. Now I'm going to carry on with this and I'll show you when I've done it. Right, so now we have this. And this will go over here like that. Now I was thinking of a way of doing this because it's not like the card. It's very hard to shape this because it's not paper. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of double-sided tape to hold it down while I'm gluing it. And like I say, the glue won't go through. I've just got to make sure this has got an up and a down, this template, to get it. So I'm going to glue, well not glue, I'm going to put this on double-sided tape, try and get this slap bang in the middle there where it's supposed to be. And then I'm going to start to fold this in and then glue it. to the shape that it needs to be. But I need to double-sided tape it first. Okay, so let me do that. Right, so I've put the double-sided tape on. And now I'm going to try and center this. And stick it to the double-sided tape so that I can then work the folds and glue them, because that's much easier. Also, if you notice, I've taken the gun cover off that I'd already made, so then I can make this up with glue and have a fiddle with it. So we just, you see what I'm going to do? So I'm literally just putting the edges together, and the double-sided tape holds it on. Now this doesn't have to be perfect. See down the bottom there, and fold it over down the bottom there, and you can mess about with it until you get it the way you want it. But with the tape there, it holds it on. And what I might even do, so I might even use double-sided tape to actually stick the whole mantlet on, and then use the gun, the actual outside metal or attachment strip as a secondary form of holding it on as well. Anyway, let me just fiddle about with this, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. And the same thing as last time, just using super glue sparingly. So that's with a little bit of fiddling. It's still stuck on with a double-sided tape. Like I say, this doesn't have to be perfect. Do you see? Here's the middle bit. And then I've got to cut out, because this is way oversized, then I've got to cut this out. I've got to work out what to do. Should I put... and put it behind, but I think on the real thing, this stitches on top of here, so I think that's the way to go. But yeah, so there's that. And it's the same thing by just using this template. Yeah, and the double-sided tape just holds it in place, so you can put it here without faffing too much. And if it's got a few creases, it really doesn't matter, because if you've seen one in real life, they're not exactly ironed sort of thing. All right, let's get that off the double-sided tape and work out what to do with it. I've just vaguely marked the outline of it with a dressmaker's pen. I'm just going to check my reference to how it sits on. All right, so looking at my reference, it's the inner side that sits onto the outside here, and this is why I left this too big. I didn't get to fit that hole completely, so it wouldn't work. So I'm now going to stick that, so I'm going to cut this out and then stick that onto there with a little teeny bit of super glue, and that should be the gun cover done. So let's get cracking. And then you're left with that. All right, hopefully this works. It's a bit scary, that was. So this is between my legs again. This is the best way of working this. See what I'm doing? I'm slowly gluing these edges down now and trying to get them as square as I can. And then what I'll do is I'll tuck that bit in, and then, yeah, we just got to make the hole for the coaxial. See, it's all very loose. I want it loose, because if you do this too tight, when you put it all together, you go, oh, that's my lovely tight fit, no creases, because it's not really what it would have been. But also, elevation and depression. You don't want it suddenly doing all that, and then it can't do it, and then you have to do it all again. So loose as you can. That should have room for it to move up and down, because it's not stuck to the gun mantlet. So I'm just going to fiddle with this to see what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to use a pin with some super glue on and manipulate this so this goes down nice and flat and straight as though it's been sewn on. Enjoyable though this has been. Hopefully you guys will have a go with it. And this should fit TAMIYA and the TONGDE one. I don't see why not. Oh, sorry, I meant to say, just a quickie, I'm just using super glue debonder and a little COVID test pot. Handy. One good thing out of COVID. And I'm just wiping off any stray super glue and thinning anything that's escaped around the seams, so it's a little bit more flexible again, but still glued. Okay, just tidy it up a bit so when I paint it. All right. Well, I think that's the best I can do. It needs some other little teeny bits and bobs on it, but I think that does the job. Yeah. I don't think I can do any better than that. It might look a little bit odd at the minute, but I'm hoping that's all right. What I might do is I will double-sided tape this down so it fits where it's supposed to. So it's inside the edges there, inside the edges there, so it must be where it is. Okay, and then I can paint this up. I might get some fabric paint actually, because maybe that's a little bit more, it doesn't make it go so stiff. Or maybe acrylics. But yeah, so I've just got to cut this to shape now around here. So that's how you make up the cover. I'll show you how to cut it to shape when I do the edging strip, and I might make that a different video because it's gone forever. Look, have a nice week, and I will see you for the next instalment of the Centurion. Have fun. Oh, and if you want to like, subscribe and share, that'd be great, but you've probably not got this far to hear me say that. No one really ever watches these. If you get to the end here and you've watched the whole of this, can you comment? Because I do all this stuff, and the only things people seem to watch is unboxings and me doing starting videos of RC tanks. This sort of gets lost in the fog. I think I was. Anyway, have a nice week. Bye.